We have this area of our brain called the ventral tegmental area, which is where your dopamine is being generated. You can imagine it as like a dopamine factory. And you can imagine in that factory, your brain has the capacity to build and manufacture little dopamine bubbles. They're called vesicles. And you can imagine they're all sitting there as like a little pile of bubbles in your dopamine factory. You then have an area of your brain called the nucleus accumbens, which is your reward center. If you're doing something hard and effortful, like say you were cleaning your house, when you were cleaning your house, a few of those bubbles would be getting shipped from the dopamine factory to the reward center every few minutes. And you'd feel a slight sense of satisfaction. Then say when you finished it and your house was already clean, it would ship an extra few of those bubbles to the reward center. And you'd have that feeling of like, oh nice, I've cleaned my house, that feels good. When we open a social media app and we start scrolling the short videos, effectively what happens is the dopamine factory ships a lot of those bubbles towards the reward center. And that's why it feels really pleasurable. Like suddenly loads of dopamine is shipping towards it. It's like really pleasurable. But then after you've done the scrolling, the dopamine factory is then very low in that resource. The bubbles are low. And when we have a low amount of dopamine in that dopamine factory, that's when we're in this apathetic, low mood, can't focus state. And for so much of our day, we are spending our time mass shipping the bubbles out and not necessarily regenerating them very well.
Cheap dopamine versus earned dopamine.
Yeah.
Big difference.